Yeah, go ahead. I like it. What I'm doing is building kind of a soffit up there that's going to be closing in the top of the cabinet. I don't want to push the cabinet all the way in yet because I still got to put a spacer on this side. It's just going to be a small one, but that sits really flush with it, and that's what I wanted. So there is a gap there. I expected that. I wanted to leave myself some wiggle room so I could get the cabinet in place. And I'm going to be closing that gap up later. But I'm pretty happy with this. Again, I'm not pushing it all the way in yet. Alright guys, here's the plan today. I want to get some painting done. I want to get this cabinet installed. And before I do that, I got to paint this soffit I built up here and this wood I put on the wall back here. That'll all make sense in a minute. I'll explain that as I go. But also behind the cabinet is our pantry door. And that's a louver door. You can see it right here. I'm going to be painting it. I know you guys told me, don't paint the door, it's beautiful. But I have to, because I want this door white for the design of the kitchen and this back entry area that you guys are standing in right now. So, I'm painting it. Now I want to make sure I get a good finish on it, so I'm going to be trying something new today. This was something that you guys recommended last time we painted our front door, Flow Troll. And this is supposed to make paint flow, like latex paint. It's supposed to make it kind of take away all the brush marks or the roller marks, and it just makes it really even and clean and professional looking. It's just supposed to kind of level the paint out. So I'm really excited to try this and see how it works. That brush feels nice. Everybody's yelling at me through the computer right now.
It just has to be done for this door, for it to look good, you know?
There's a vision, right?
Yeah.
It's funny because this brush itself says like smooth finish, no brush strokes. But we'll see. Remember how we were going to paint that wall yellow wax pepper?
Oh. You mean neon green?
Yeah. Trying to get those edges first.
We got the first coat on the door done.
It's looking pretty good. Just doing the jam now. We do have some weird things going on with the door. Some like bubbles in the veneer. It's almost like the veneer is lifting. Probably
right
can't.
There.
Yeah, you can see it a little bit.
There's a bigger one here.
So hopefully those dry flat. I'm not sure why they're doing that. Alright guys, I'm ready for coat 2. You have to admit it's looking pretty good. At least I think it does. Hopefully tonight this door will be done and we can call this project complete. And I really liked how the door in the hallway came out with the natural wood tone. But in the entryway we have this kind of tan colored wall. I think this doesn't look accurate to life, but there's a tan colored wall and a blue door, and I don't want to start matching too many colors together, and we're going to have a white cabinet this way. So the idea is the white door is going to match the white cabinet, and we're also going to have white trim on this door and the back door, which is blue right here. It's all going to look really sharp back here. I just think white was the right choice, and the paint's coming out okay. Today I'm going to be using the roller on the sides to try to get a little bit smoother finish, and brushing the louvers again. This coat should go a lot quicker because the wood's already coated and we're just basically smoothing it out. It's hard to get a good angle of this back here because the cabinet is right in the way. But the door is done and it looks really good. I'm happy with it. I did get paint on my shirt. You can see I kind of rubbed the side of the door against me. It happens. We have tape on the hinges, so this masking tape will come off and they'll look a lot better. Just gotta wait for this to dry. And then hopefully we can also slide this in now that the paint is done on this wood trim we put around with the opening. It's all gonna come together fast. It's really exciting. So I don't know how well you guys are gonna be able to see this, but basically the oven cabinets go right here. We have this trim piece right here so that the doors back here will be able to open without hitting the wall. And I put this piece on it. This is just a piece of 1/4-inch paneling so that when we butt this up, the paneling will be sitting here and making contact with the cabinet, and then I'm going to use that as a place to screw to hold the cabinet to the wall. I'm getting ready to cut the frame to my oven size, and I just put our shelf in here. This cabinet comes with an adjustable shelf, and you can adjust it for the size of your oven. This height is perfect for the oven, but I have to cut the opening lower and wider, and that's pretty common. The shelf is just held up with like plastic clips. I think it's strong enough to hold the oven, but I might add some metal clips underneath later on, just screw them on just to make sure it's extra secure. But I need a 29-inch opening, and from the shelf up here is 29. That's perfect. So basically I have to cut it down flush to the shelf, the sides, and it should be a pretty easy install. "29 inches, 28.5 inches. I think that's good. This is where I don't want to mess up because this is the cabinet. We went through so much work to get it, and if I mess up this cut, the cabinet's useless. I'm taping it up because A, I want to avoid any splintering of the wood on the finished cabinet. The tape will help prevent some splintering if there was any. Also, because I'm going to be using a jigsaw to cut this out, and I don't want my jigsaw to scratch up the finish on the cabinet. So as I'm running this metal plate on the cabinet, I'm going to be leaving black marks and scratches. By putting the tape here, the tape protects the cabinet, basically. That should be good. Triple check. 28.5. I'm going to pop this shelf back out just so I don't hit it with the blade and mar it all up. It won't be seen, but just for my own peace of mind. This is Dusty, putting a mask on. Alright, I'm going to get all the sawdust cleaned up and we'll come back. Actually, before I clean up the sawdust, I'm going to go ahead and drill a hole for my wire. Just pop it out the knockouts. I'm going to be using these plastic wire clamps, restrainers, because I happen to have them. Actually, I only need one because the oven has conduit, so I'll leave that one open. I'm going to upgrade my box. This one's a little small. It's just bugging me. There it is. Going to make a little loopy loop and just attach a little ground screw around the metal box. So there that is. Got the clamp on here. The conduit is a flexible conduit. It's going to go inside here and just tighten down that screw to clamp it tight. I'll connect the wires together. Got the opening prepared, everything's looking good. Cabinet is secured to the wall, also secured to the back wall. So we're finally at the big moment of getting the oven in here. The oven is really heavy and the opening on this is pretty high up. So we were trying to figure out how we were going to get the oven up and then not just lift it in because we have to wire it up still. So we have to head up so we could reach in and wire it and then slide it in. I think we got a plan, so we'll show you what we came up with. Here it is. This is our new wall oven. It's a little bit dusty, but it is new. It's just been sitting in our kitchen, in our living room forever. This is actually our work table that we've been using to prepare food as a temporary kitchen. And this has come in so handy. In fact, sometimes we roll it in here just to do videos like our peanut butter stick video and our pudding. So this table is coming really handy, and all I did was, since the table's adjustable, there's a crank handle on it, you can raise it and lower it. I raised it up to the same height as the opening off the floor. So now we should be able to roll it over there, work on it, and kind of slide it in. Got it all wired up and kind of crammed in there. Basic wiring, white to white, red to red, black to black, and green to copper. Let me lift this side up. There we go. I'm going to try to lift this up a little. Okay, wait. I'm going to lift this, just slide that table out a little bit. Okay. Top. It's almost like it's not sitting on something. I don't know, it's weird. It's not, the top is sticking out, yeah? Mm-hmm. So let me slide it forward a little bit, if I can. And I don't see it hitting anything, to be honest. So the oven is going okay, everything went smoothly, but it's not sitting in exactly where we wanted it to. And we've realized that our cabinet was just a little bit shy of what we needed. We needed 23.5 from the front to the back panel. and we have like 23 and maybe an eighth, so we're 3/8 off. It's not sticking out 3/8, but it's sticking out maybe an eighth, you know? So there is that little thing, it's hitting the back panel. My only concern is that it's just touching the back panel. I don't know if that's gonna be any problem with the heat. All right guys, I'm going overboard on this and I'm gonna go and just make this right. You can see I pulled the oven back out. I'm not happy with how it's sitting. So what I'm doing right now is marking out the back of the cabinet. I'm actually gonna cut the back of the cabinet open so that this sits in there exactly like it should, safely, securely, and not pushing on the back of the cabinet. I'm also gonna take the time to readjust the shelf that it was sitting on because I felt like the oven is sitting at an angle. Everything is square and level. I have no idea why, but I know I can adjust the shelf to make that work. I'm gonna go ahead and hack up the cabinet and hopefully it turns out okay. Sketching out my cuts. Am I being too loud? I'm sorry. So what I'm going to do is just put some metal brackets a little bit lower in the back. I'll put my shelf back in and I'm going to see how it sits on those. If that angle helps the range sit in there flush on the front, then I'll reinforce it a little more. I'll probably put a piece of wood maybe along the back to support it. But I feel like we're making progress. There we go. So now this shelf slopes slightly backwards. That way instead of shimming up the front of the stove to make it sit flat, the back will be lower. And that means that the stove will sit where I want in the front and it should sit flat. I'm hoping this works. It's beautiful. You can see this bumper here, this is raised, these are raised, the screws are raised. This itself is past the back panel. These must have been hitting a lot, so wow. Electrical box is still right there. I am happy with this. And guys, I can make this totally sealed up again because the back panel here, it's inset about 1/2 inch. If I wanted, I could take a 1/2 inch plywood, put it right over here, screw it, and it'd be resealed again. That's gonna be so easy to fix. I'm so happy I took the time to do this, Ash. Okay, you guys wanna see it from the front? Here it is, looking awesome. Now all I gotta do is secure it. On the inside of the door, there's a hole here. There's actually a hole down here, hole here, hole here. Yeah, I'm just gonna screw it right into the frame of the cabinet. And honestly, it should be ready to turn on and use after that. That's pretty exciting. We'll screw it in, clean it up, and then I'll come back and show it to you guys. Well, this was quite the project. We thought the cabinet was a lot of work, but I think this was a lot of work too, but it came out good. Actually, fixing the cabinet, cutting out the back, was such a good decision because the oven sits in there so much nicer now, and it really didn't take that long. Sometimes things can seem very tedious and very, like,
involved,
overwhelming in your mind. but you just got to push and say, I got to do it. And that was just me saying, I want to do it right. I didn't go through all the work to get this cabinet just to cob job the oven. So
Yeah.
I got sawdust all over me still. But here is the oven. Do you guys want to see it? This is our LG Studio, and it's stainless steel. I know it's going to get fingerprints. It's just something we got to deal with. And you can see it's got an awesome blue interior. It's got a really cool ball bearing shelf that rolls out. These are standard, just oven shelves. This one's kind of cool. Convection oven, you got the fan in the back and everything. Really neat. We're gonna try it out. I'm gonna turn on the breaker and we'll see if this thing turns on. This is our first time. We haven't tested this yet or anything, so.
Does it really know the time?
It's like so close to the right time. That's
Yes.
kind of creepy.
Yeah, it's 1:38. I mean, you could.
That's what the phone says. How is it so close?
1:39 now. Mm-hmm. Yep, it's 1:39 in the morning. Believe it or not, we're still working. Let's check it out. We got lights.
Cool.
Neat.
This is our first time having an oven, like a wall oven.
Yeah, not an oven.
Yeah.
We've had an oven. It looks like it's a success. Everything's working so far. The real test is going to be trying to bake something in it. We're not baking anything tonight, are we?
No, not tonight.
Okay. So we got bake, broil, roast, convection bake, roast, crisp, warm, proof. You know, to rise some bread on it. This is really cool. Actually, it's a really feature-packed oven. We were really fortunate to find this marked down. It was a local store that carries appliances, and this was a floor model, but they were getting rid of it because they were moving in more new models. We got a really great deal on this. So there it is. We got our oven. We finally have an oven.
Yeah.
How long has it been since we've had an oven?
Since September, when we gutted the kitchen.
Yeah. So quite a while.
Let's see, October, November, December, January, February, March. Like 6 months.
Wow. We can finally start baking again. We don't actually bake a whole lot, but this is a start to the kitchen. And some of you guys might think that this oven is actually in a really awkward space, kind of in the back entryway, close to the door, kind of cramped, weird. Yeah, it's definitely in an awkward space. There's a reason we put it here, even though it's not the ideal space for it. It's not the ideal location. We settled for this location, and I think eventually we're going to do a video talking about the layout and design after the kitchen is done, so you can see the layout and design.
Yeah.
So after the kitchen is done, we'll talk about that. I don't want to talk about it now because it's too confusing.
We don't have the rest of the cabinets to show and...
When it comes to like laying out a kitchen or any kind of like home design, sometimes you have to make sacrifices on stuff to get what you want. And you could have put this someplace better, but then you got to move something else. It's one of those kind of situations.
Or you lose counter space and, you know.
So we'll definitely talk about why we chose this location and everything else in the future. For now, we're just going to leave you guys with a functioning oven and us just being happy and going to go relax and call it a night. So
Yep.
We really appreciate you guys watching, following along our home renovation, homesteading, life journey, just whatever we're doing. A lot of you guys have been here for so long and we just appreciate that. But I guess that's all we have for now. So until next time, take care.
Bye.